Hey, I'm Big Daddy Don Garlitz, asking you to support adoption by purchasing a Choose Life license plate from your county tag office. You know it costs a lot to give a child life. Many times a woman is forced to make a bad choice because of financial pressures. Help save the lives of the unborn children by aiding women whom choose life instead of abortion. Take a stand for life. Purchase your Choose Life license plate today. For more information, go to chooselife.org or call 352-624-2854.
WWWOCA, WWWOCA.
The most trusted name in news, Fox News, every half hour, only on 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
All right. All right, 5 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. All right, when I was a kid, this was way before there was anything called an internet. You know what I used to love doing? I used to love going to the library. And I would go to the library, and I would find these photo books, and they would have these beautiful, large black and white photos in them, and I would stare at them for hours. And it would be, I grew up on Long Island, and a lot of these pictures were from New York City, so it was like, wow, I sort of kind of know these places, but I don't know them this way, because a lot of those photos were from before I was born. Bob Fischer is an artist and a photojournalist. A lot of his work reminds me of those photographs I used to look at. And if you remember, the best way I can explain it to anybody who's never seen them, think of the big magazines like Life and Look from years ago. They had these big black and white photographs that were awesome. Bob Fischer is an artist, a photojournalist, a fine art photographer, and author. His book is called Vignettes, Street Work, Street Photography that Captures the Universal Human Condition. Let's find out about this from Bob. Good morning, Bob. How are you?
Good morning. That's quite an intro.
Is it? Are you the guy in the front page of your website?
That's so big. No, I'm not. And I don't want to go into why.
No, I'm glad. I mean, not that I'm glad, but that's kind of a freaky guy.
He's a really sad guy, actually, with him and his violin.
Do you know him?
He was a friend of my ex-wife, which is one of the reasons, that's why she's my ex-wife.
Oh, goodness.
No, he was one of the creepy people that were in her universe, and I thought he'd be perfect for my camera.
When you take pictures of people on the streets, and obviously if you're getting them from the back or you're getting them from a distance, it's not a big issue. But when you're getting them close up, like the very first picture I saw after I hit on the vignette streetwork part, was the guy with it's called Boneyard, with the half mask on, I guess.
Oh yeah, that was shot at Pride Fest last year. I go to the Pride every year. I get tired of the parade. It's kind of boring.
Where are you right now?
Bikes. I'm in Oakland.
Oh, okay.
So, but the real fun in the Pride Fest is to wander around and see all of the bizarre people that are out in the world.
So do you remember the pictures I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, and you have that. And I don't know anything about photography, but you capture things. And there's something about, I don't know if I'm going to use the word correctly, but the contrast, is that a good word, Robin? You know more about cameras than me. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's something about the contrast. Do you prefer black and white? You do have a few color pictures here. Let me see this.
I do. I put a few, I shoot with a digital camera. I learned how to use a regular film camera, and when I was an artist, I was a painter. I actually started working with black and white photos. My wife taught me how to be a painter. And black and white, you can see the contrast much more clearly. So, and I used to go to the library too. Actually, I was a really bad person at the library. I would go and find a photo that I liked, and I would actually take it out of the book. But I was so desperate to be able to see it.
You mean you cut it out? You literally had to.
I did. Don't tell anyone. I was a bad.
That's not good.
That was bad.
I remember seeing those torn. No, I'm teasing. No,
they were mine.
But but anybody who was alive back in those days, if you remember the early copy machines, if you went to photocopy them, they were reversed image. Remember?
Yeah.
Yes, it was. I can't use the word that I would want to use, but they, they came out like block images, and there was no detail and. But we didn't have the internet though. Now with the internet, I have access to all of it. And I would never have to tear out a page of any book. I don't go to libraries anyway, so
By the way, did you happen to see? First of all, do you know who Bill Cunningham is? And
I know that I know, and I remember I used to look at his columns every week in the Times, and particularly when he would go to the events. And what I liked about them was it was so easy to find out who was who. They actually followed the numbers in the little thing that went with it. So.
He died just recently, just like the other day.
I know, and he was. They made a documentary about him, and
yeah, was he the one who lived? Was it Carnegie Hall, or where did he live?
Yeah,
Radio City Music Hall, which I can't recall.
No, it was. I think it was Carnegie.
Carnegie Hall.
Their apartments or their lofts or something like in the hall itself.
And I may have seen the same special you were just referring to, where his office was packed with files after files after files of things. Yeah.
Right. It was a real fixture in
so
New York.
The city landscape, the urban landscape, that's your cup of tea. At least that's for the cup of tea for this book, isn't it?
Well, the urban landscape, mine is generally the buildings and the bridges and the sky and the moon, and there are people who love doing that, and they do it over and over so well. But mine, I was just looking at a picture today, actually, of New York on Facebook that some guy was really proud of, and it was the Empire State Building with a beautiful moon, and it was perfectly done. And I go, oh, yeah, okay. That was my comment. We don't need another picture of that. But
I see what you're saying, yeah.
But your
landscape. Huh?
But your pictures are more like movies, because there are different scenes within one frame, and that is really amazing. And the people aren't related to the other ones, but you've captured such great group shots. It's amazing.
Oh, look at this picture.
Yeah, well, cinema is very important to me. Like, believe it or not, I actually do watch black and white films, and I've seen Citizen Kane. And I once met a guy who was 40, and I said, "Have you ever seen Rose? You know who Rosebud is?" And he says, "I don't watch black and white films." And he was like 42. So
yeah.
Can I ask you? I'm looking at one of the photos here, and I'm going to ask you to tell me the title of it, and ask you if it's in the book. And I'm going to ask Robin to come over and look at it. Here's a guy. There's a guy with like a black, I don't know, what do you call it, vinyl on his head, and he looks like he's chocolate. And there's a woman dressed kind of sexy, and then there's a guy with no pants on, and he's sporting a male member, and he
and no underwear either.
No, he's breaking the law right there.
Yeah, he's very profile.
Yeah, well, in San Francisco, you don't break the law doing that. At Pride Fest, that was shot at the Folsom Fair, which is a festival based on fetishes. And, San Francisco, until recently, was the one city in the U.S. where you could actually walk around naked.
Did she pose for you, the woman, or did you get her in the moment?
No, I just got her in the moment. The great thing about street, look, I've done a lot of studio photography, and I just am so tired of being clever. You have your model sitting in front of you, whatever, and as far as getting them to take off their clothes, I get very embarrassed. Still like 12 years old.
Yeah, right.
And I say, turn your head to the left and turn it to the right and look up and look down, and it's like, how boring. But when you're on the street, as I put in the book, all you have to do is be awake.
Oh, sure.
You have to change the subtitle of your book. It should be called Vignettes Streetwork. Keep the title, but then the subtitle should be Tired of Being Clever.
Yeah.
Good idea. It's true, though. Inside my head, of course, I never let my models know this. I make them feel really good. I'm thinking, oh, God, I can't do this again. I was like, geez, what am I going to do? But on the street, being awake means you have to be alert, and you have to see this stuff. And I have a friend who says all the time, he says, wow, I can't believe you got that in there. Like, there's a sign in the background that actually relates to the picture, or there are other people in there. I said, believe it. When I took the picture, I didn't even see that.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, he says, yeah, but that's who you are. You have like a subconscious sight.
There's a photo taken inside of a building. It's a woman looking out the window, and it looks like she can open that window. Where is that?
Yeah, that was shot in the Hermitage. And I think that's not the one with the her reflection is in the window,
Yes.
and there's a Matisse statue. You know, the security guards in the Hermitage, you know what they are? They're like little old ladies who sit on these chairs and knit. That's what they do. They have 2 giant knitting needles, and they watch you, and they actually open the windows to let air in the Hermitage.
Oh, really? So she had no clue that you took her photo.
No, but it was just so perfect, right? Because it's the sensuousness of a woman and the Matisse statue and the reflection and
Wow.
all of that.
And the main photo that we were sent is really extraordinary. I mean, you have a couple kissing, you have a little boy coming out of a store. You've got a fellow with a walker trying to cross the street. You've got another younger fellow carrying a bag, like he just went to the store, and then there's a man in the distance with a little child on his shoulders. I just think it's just an amazing scene.
Well, there's also a guy who my favorite is one that you probably didn't even see, because I've actually studied this photo and go, wow, how'd they get all that crap in there? There's on the very far left, his head is right underneath the guy walking under his chin, and he's actually staring at the camera.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
And,
Okay. There you go.
When I shot that picture, I just happened to be, I frequently go into the city just to walk around. I bring my camera and shoot, and I was really, all I saw was the guy with the walker.
How many cities are represented in the book?
Well, I wish I could be clever and come up with a number off of my hat to show how much I studied for this interview, but I have no idea. There's a lot.
Okay, well, what city? Okay, so you, okay,
It's around the world.
but San Francisco, so they're not all America.
No. There's one of my favorite shots is the woman who looks like a ghost, and she's wearing hijab. That was shot in Tehran, and
Oh, okay.
there are a lot of shots in Paris and in
Okay.
Australia all the time. And so,
Have you ever gone to Key West?
no, actually, I never have gone there. Although I do love key lime pie. But
Oh, good. Me
Well,
too.
that's not why I want you to go. I think you'll have plenty of photo opportunities, but you got to go there during Fantasy Fest.
Actually, I try to stay away from the look at it. I'm more interested in photographing people the way they really are, as opposed to when they dress bizarre or weirdly. I mean, if they dress bizarre and weirdly for real, that's more interesting.
The comment.
Things like,
The comment you made earlier about San Francisco being the only city that has the nudity laws that are as liberal as they are, I'm sure it's true. Key West does not have such liberal laws. However, the police.
He's going to go now.
The police.
Bob's going.
The police seem to look the other way sometimes, and I don't know when they decide it's time to look the other way. But I want to give you an example. In 2004, there was a hurricane that went through that area called Francis. And I know that's already 12 years ago. Is that right? 12? Am I getting right?
It was
12 years ago.
bad,
But
though.
I'll never forget the story. It was this group of college kids, and they had these T-shirts that said "Pantsless for Francis," and they were running out. They were running around with no pants,
With sneakers and
just
and
sneakers and a
shirt.
T-shirt that said "Pantsless for Francis." And
yeah, well, we have that here. That's called the Beta Breakers, and there's always people riding bicycles naked, and at Pride Fest, which I didn't actually go to yesterday, there's always somebody, playing with themselves on a street corner,
oh gosh,
looking kind of furtively at the passersby. And what's great is that the passersby don't even pay attention. It was San Francisco.
and so is this like the tall buildings in New York? Like the people who are looking up at the buildings are tourists. The people looking at the naked people are tourists. You can tell the
Yes.
tourists. Yeah.
And I love tourists. I mean, like I'm going to Paris in a couple of weeks. I'm taking my daughter there for her birthday, and then I'm making not a big mistake. I'm going to Venice for a couple of days, and Venice in the summer, I don't know if you've ever been there, but there's nothing but tourists. I'm surprised the islands can still stay above water.
Wow.
What's this?
Wow.
I love photographing bad tourists.
Okay, there's somebody bent over with no pants on.
In one of my photos?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I can't. It looks. I think it's a man, but maybe I'm wrong. It looks like Curly from the Three Stooges.
Yeah, I don't usually go for those shots because those are pretty easy. But I do have a woman with a striped dress walking up the stairs called Rumba, which I love. I'm surprised I don't get slapped some of the times.
I'm telling you, I was wondering the same thing. All right.
What is? Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just wondering where this was. I mean, I can see on the. It looks like a newspaper box, and it says
bent over, and it's one of my photos.
Yeah, it's SF Weekly. There's a bus in the background.
It snuck in there.
It looks like a coffee cup or a soda cup sitting on top of a newspaper box, and this person is bent over with nothing but a shirt, looks like.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, like, what was the interest in that shot? Was it the coffee cup or them being bent over?
Okay. If you go to
I love the way you take photos. You're great.
On your website, it's like page 3 of the vignettes.
Page 3
of the vignettes. Yeah, vignette streetwork 2011 through 2015. Page 3.
Yeah.
And which picture is it? I can't tell which one it is. Oh, it's third down on the left side. Third down on the left side.
Oh, I don't have my website on.
Oh, you don't?
No, but I got to tell you, you don't have a copy of my book there, but I'll tell you, one of the most amazing pictures in here. I love when I get caught. I always lie. I never ask people. If you ask somebody to take their picture, they'll it changes their demeanor. So generally, I don't.
So what do you say?
You don't ask.
I lie. They said, "Did you just take my picture?" I said, "Why would I do that? You're not that interested." Or, I got caught shooting a guard at the art museum at the Tate, and he was like a crazy person who I think really believed that I was stealing his soul. He followed me all over the museum. He was harassing me. So finally, I just said, no photo is worth that. But there's a photo that I love. It's the first or second photo in this book called Beautiful Girls. And there's a girl with rings in her face, and there's one girl. When my daughter saw this photo, she said, "Dad, I think she wants to beat the hell out of you." And so when I got off the train, I walked up to him. I said, "Look, I know you really wanted to murder me, but I took the picture because you're so beautiful." And they just totally melted. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I wasn't lying. That was why I took the pictures. I was like removing all the rings in her face to see what she really looked like. And she really was beautiful, and so it kind of let me off the hook.
Wow.
Oh, you have a variety of descriptions about you as a photojournalist and a fine art photographer. Where is the line between the two? Because you can have a very artsy photojournalistic approach to that kind of a photo.
There is no line for me. For me, you see, because I'm really a painter, I consider myself a painter with a camera. Okay? And I do give workshops every once in a while. And the main thing I teach people, which I've done for myself, is I do a lot of introspection, and I want to find out what is it when I'm walking that makes me pick up a camera and take something, right? If you really look into yourself, figure out like why you're taking that picture, you'll learn the stories that you tell. So the stories that I've been telling in my paintings is still the same stories that I tell in my photography. Because I'm not really a photographer, I'm not so anal about the size of my lens or my f-stop or whether it's in focus or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it frees me up to take a great shot. I always say I'm more interested in getting a great shot, a great image, instead of a great photo.
Right, me too. I love that.
And so it frees me up, and I do shoot in black and white, and then I can, with digital you can take out all the color or just selectively use the color. It's all about manipulating the viewer to get the story.
To share this with our listeners, I would direct you to Robert's website, robertfischerphoto.com, and he spells his last name Fischer, robertfischerphoto.com. On the link that takes you to the sequence of photos called My World, it seems like there are more color photos in that section. And there are people who do look like they're posing, unless you broke into some prostitute's room and...
No. On my website, most of that is studio work.
Oh, that's a studio picture. Okay.
Yeah, like there's a whole section called odalisque, which are typically female nudes. You're reclining.
Okay. There's a rather old lady in here that is naked too.
Is she older than me?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Oh yes.
I
Yes.
don't want to go there because I don't know what you look like. So I'm going to say, she was.
Trust me.
Yeah, I will.
Do you want to see the picture, Rob?
Okay, here I go.
Come over here, Robin. We'll look at the pictures. I mean, you actually asked her, "Can you take off your clothes for me?"
Yeah, look at here's the deal with me.
That's
I'm very
great.
lucky to have access to extraordinary people who will do those things for me. Like there's a whole section on my website called Mark. I don't know if you went through
I
that.
saw. I didn't click on it yet. Okay, I'm going there right now.
Somebody who has dementia and he's bipolar. And when I lived in Palm Springs, he was on disability. I didn't have to work, and so he was available to pose for me for absolutely. He would do anything at any time, 4 in the morning, midnight, whatever I would call him. So let's go do photos. And I don't
Wow.
know if you know the photographer Edward Weston. Are you familiar with him?
No, not really, but I heard
Okay.
the name. Wow, look at these
Yeah, well, he
pictures.
used to photograph these silly green peppers, right? And he would shoot them from different angles, and it was about sensuousness and blah, blah, blah. And so Mark is my green pepper. He's not just a potted plant, as I call him. He'll do anything, dress up, and we created all of these characters. And so I'm lucky to have access to these people. My ex-wife, who hated me, loved my art more than she hated me, and there's some amazing photos
Really?
of her
Yeah.
in my world. She's the woman who's 450 pounds and naked.
I'm I might have some nightmares. I just looked at Suck the Monster. I just might have some nightmares.
My friend Mark was kind of a lonely guy.
Yeah.
Whenever I could get him with,
Yeah.
I could, find another model for him to participate with. I always thought he was giving back to the community.
Yeah, I'm sure that's giving.
Well, that's
Fun interview for sure.
You are absolutely amazing because I love how you capture the essence of the person, especially when they know that you're not taking their photograph.
You really are a good photographer.
Thank you.
Do you, when you're taking a photo, do you like frame it out and everything and take it where you don't have to do any cropping, or do you just
No.
take the photo and then crop?
No, I'm not a silly pure. They're purists, so you should never crop. You shouldn't. It's all bull. You do what you have to do. I did learn from a critique. People usually are intimidated. They don't give me critiques, but I did get a critique once from somebody which really affected me. I was in the Amazon photographing the men down in Iquitos because they're really beautiful till they're 33, and then a bomb goes off. I shot this beautiful guy in the shower. These were posed, but I cut off his feet. And the critique was, well, it's a great photo, but you'll never be able to add his feet back in. So I usually, when I take a photo, try to get much more of the image than I need so I can crop it out so I don't make that mistake. Sometimes you don't have a chance. Sometimes I see things so quickly and I bam with my camera. And, Cartier-Bresson called it the decisive moment, which is you have the lens off the camera's turned on, you see it, you shoot it, you get it. Like there's my favorite, the most amazing photo I think I ever shot is in this book, and it's called Russian Street Drama, and it was shot through a bus in Leningrad or St. Petersburg at 35 miles an hour, and it's a woman sitting there and her boyfriend is yelling at her. I don't know if you saw that photo.
No, I haven't seen that one.
It's an incredible photo because the body language is perfect. The guy is the biggest jerk in the world. She's sitting there with her head in her hands, and she's wearing these skinny high heels with the toes pointed straight up. So you know that this is a really stressful situation, and the guy is a jerk, and she's really in deep angst about this
Just to
thing.
go back to how I introduced you before we run out of time, Bob. This is the kind of stuff that kept me in the library. I would be looking at pictures like this for hours, and I am not exaggerating. I wouldn't get any schoolwork done. That was the premise under which I went to the library. But Bob Fischer.
Luckily, Yeah, luckily you didn't find any of the books that I had torn the pages out.
Well, if you ever have a traveling exhibit and come down to do a talk in our area, the Appleton Museum, I'll be there. You are absolutely amazing and a person to be admired with what you do.
Well, thank you very much. This is really fun. I was thinking 7 o'clock, how do I get my lips apart? But I'm, because I'm in California. But it's been actually a lot of fun.
Thank you for being on there with us. The website again is robertfischerphoto.com, Fischer, Fischer, and the book is available on the website or no?
It's available through Amazon.com.
Just go to Amazon or any other bookseller. Bob, Robert, thank you so much for being on the air with us today. Fun interview, and keep it up. I'm going to be staring at these pictures and having a nightmare about a few of them. So
yeah, just the one of my wife in front of you. That'll do it.
Is that the first one in the odalisque part?
Is it a large woman who's 450 pounds?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't miss it.
Okay, wow. I have seen that one. Okay. Thank you, Bob. That was amazing. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. More than 20 West Virginia counties under a flash flood watch, with more rain forecast as residents trying to clean up after a week of flooding. Summersville Dam Manager Toby Wood.
The highest record we have of Craigsville is 25 and a half feet back in 1985, and it went to 29 feet this time.
25 have died in the flood, several people still missing. Pope Francis with an apology on behalf of the church.
On the flight home from Armenia late Sunday, the Pope was asked if the church owed an apology to homosexuals. The 79-year-old said that not only gays deserved an apology, but also all those the church has marginalized, such as the poor and exploited women and children forced into labor.
Fox Radio's Courtney Walsh in Rome. Wall Street opening sharply lower amid the fallout over last week's British vote to leave the EU. The British Treasury saying its economy can withstand any uncertainty. Fox News, we report, you decide.
The Ford Freedom Sales Event